Being single is your secret weapon, Stoicism. You wake up every morning thinking something is missing. You scroll through your phone. You see couples. You see people posting love, attention, validation, affection. And slowly, your mind begins to whisper. Maybe being alone means I'm losing. But listen carefully. Some of the strongest men and women in history were built in solitude. Not in crowds. Not in relationships. Not in constant attention. But alone. Because solitude does something dangerous. It introduces you to yourself. And most people are terrified of that. The world has convinced you that being single is a curse. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Being single is not emptiness. Being single is training. Being single is preparation. Being single is power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." And today, you are going to understand why your solitude may be the greatest weapon you have ever been given. If you are ready to become mentally stronger, emotionally disciplined, and impossible to manipulate, subscribe to Discipline Within. Because this channel is not for the weak-minded. This channel is for people ready to master themselves. And now, listen carefully. Because what you are about to hear may completely change how you see loneliness forever. 1. Being single gives you total control of your mind. Most people lose themselves in relationships. They begin changing their personality just to be accepted. They stop chasing purpose. They stop building discipline. They stop listening to themselves. Slowly, their emotions become controlled by another person's mood. If the person texts them, they feel happy. If the person ignores them, they feel worthless. That is not strength. That is emotional slavery. But when you are single, you finally hear your own thoughts clearly. You learn what truly matters to you. You begin discovering your real identity without distractions. And that is dangerous. Because a person who understands themselves becomes very difficult to control. Ask yourself, who am I when nobody validates me? Can I sit alone without needing attention? Do I truly love myself, or do I just fear abandonment? Most people cannot answer these questions. Because silence exposes everything. A young man once complained to a Stoic teacher. He said, "I hate being alone." The teacher replied, "No. You hate meeting the person you become in silence." That sentence changed his life. He stopped chasing people for comfort. He began reading, training, building, reflecting. Years later, the same loneliness that once broke him became the reason he was respected. Remember this. A weak person needs constant distraction. A strong person can sit alone with their thoughts and still remain at peace. So tonight, instead of running from solitude, use it. Sit with yourself. Face yourself. Understand yourself. Because your greatest relationship must first be with your own mind. 2. Solitude builds emotional discipline. Most emotional pain comes from dependency. The fear of losing someone. The fear of rejection. The fear of abandonment. But Stoicism teaches something powerful. You must never place your peace in another person's hands. Because people change. Feelings change. Situations change. And if your happiness depends entirely on others, your life will constantly collapse. Being single teaches emotional control. You learn how to survive without emotional crutches. You stop begging for attention. You stop panicking over silence. You stop chasing validation. Instead, you become calm. And calm people are powerful. Look at the lion. The lion does not move with desperation. The lion does not chase approval from the jungle. The lion walks alone because it understands its own strength. That is the mentality solitude builds. A woman once spent years jumping from relationship to relationship. Every breakup destroyed her. Every rejection shattered her confidence. Then one day, she decided to remain alone for 1 full year. No chasing. No emotional dependency. No desperate attachment. During that year, She discovered meditation, fitness, reading, self-respect. And for the first time in her life, she realized she was enough. Ask yourself, why do I fear being alone? Am I seeking love, or escaping myself? What part of me still depends on others to feel valuable? These are difficult questions. But difficult questions create powerful people. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. And when you master your emotions, nobody can manipulate your peace anymore." 3. Being single gives you time to build yourself. Most people waste their best years chasing temporary pleasure, attention, drama, validation, romance without purpose. Meanwhile, their dreams die quietly. But solitude gives you something priceless. Time. Time to think. Time to learn. Time to grow. Time to transform. The eagle spends long periods alone high above the noise. Why? Because greatness requires separation. You cannot become extraordinary while constantly drowning in distractions. Every great warrior understands isolation. Not because they hate people, but because focus requires distance. A young man once watched his friends party every night. Relationships, clubs, drama, temporary excitement. Meanwhile, he stayed home studying business, training his body, and learning discipline. People mocked him. They called him boring, lonely, antisocial. 5 years later, the same people envied the life he built. Never underestimate silent preparation. The world only notices success after years of invisible sacrifice. Ask yourself, what could I become if I stopped chasing distractions? Where would my life improve if I focused completely on growth? Am I using my solitude wisely, or wasting it? Being single is not punishment. It is opportunity. A season of construction. And one disciplined year can completely change your entire future. 4. Solitude reveals fake people. When you stop constantly seeking attention, something interesting happens. Many people disappear. Why? Because some people only value you when you entertain them, when you give them energy, when you chase them. But the moment you become focused, quiet, disciplined, their interest fades. And that is a gift. Because solitude exposes who truly belongs in your life. The wolf understands this. A wolf separated from the pack learns survival differently. Sharper instincts, greater awareness, higher resilience. Being alone teaches observation. You begin noticing manipulation faster. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop accepting fake connections out of loneliness. One man used to message people constantly, always checking up, always initiating, always trying to maintain friendships. Then one day, he stopped reaching out for a month. Almost nobody checked on him. That pain awakened him. He realized many relationships were one-sided. From that moment, he stopped begging for connection, and his standards changed forever. Ask yourself, who truly values me when I have nothing to offer? Am I surrounded by genuine people or temporary convenience? Do I tolerate disrespect because I fear loneliness? Solitude answers these questions honestly. And honesty is uncomfortable, but necessary. 5. Being single protects your purpose. Many people abandon their destiny for temporary emotions. They lose focus trying to keep someone happy. They sacrifice goals for relationships that eventually collapse. Stoicism teaches balance. Love is beautiful, but purpose must never die for attachment. Because when a person loses purpose, they lose themselves. Being single gives you space to sharpen your mission, to become dangerous with discipline, to create a future worth respecting. A sword is forged in fire and isolation, not comfort, not distraction. A young athlete once fell deeply in love before a major competition season. Slowly, his training became inconsistent. His sleep worsened. His focus disappeared. After the relationship ended, he returned to solitude. And during that lonely period, he became champion. Pain became fuel. Distraction disappeared. Purpose returned. Sometimes separation is not destruction. Sometimes it is redirection. Ask yourself, what mission have I neglected? Am I sacrificing long-term greatness for temporary comfort? What would happen if I became obsessed with self-mastery? The world respects focused people, because focus is rare. 6. Solitude makes you mentally unbreakable. A person who cannot handle loneliness will tolerate almost anything. Disrespect, manipulation, toxic relationships. Why? Because they fear being alone more than being mistreated. That is dangerous. Stoicism teaches self-sufficiency. The ability to stand emotionally strong even when nobody is beside you. The oak tree survives storms because its roots are deep. Not because the weather is gentle. Solitude deepens your roots. You learn how to comfort yourself, guide yourself, protect your peace. A soldier once spent months isolated during training. At first, the silence tortured him. But eventually, his mind adapted. He became calmer, more disciplined, more focused. And when chaos came later in life, he remained steady while others panicked. That is the power of mental endurance. Ask yourself, can I survive emotionally without constant reassurance? Do I stay in bad situations because I fear loneliness? Is my mind strong enough to stand alone? A Stoic does not fear solitude. A Stoic uses solitude as armor. 7. Being single helps you master desire. Most people are controlled by urges. Attention, lust, approval, instant gratification. But a person who controls desire becomes powerful beyond imagination. Because discipline creates freedom. The horse without discipline runs wildly. The trained horse becomes unstoppable. Being single teaches restraint. You stop acting on every emotion. You stop chasing every attraction. You stop allowing feelings to control your decisions. Instead, you become intentional. A monk was once asked, "What is true power?" He answered, "To sit with desire, and not obey it." That is mastery. The modern world profits from your lack of control. Apps, entertainment, addictions, validation. Everything is designed to weaken your discipline. But solitude allows you to reclaim control. Ask yourself, what desires control my life? Do I seek connection out of love or impulse? Can I resist temporary pleasure for long-term greatness? A disciplined mind becomes unstoppable. And most people will never reach that level because they are addicted to distraction. 8. Solitude teaches you inner peace. There is a difference between loneliness and peace. Loneliness says, I need someone to complete me. Peace says, I am already complete. That is the Stoic mindset. The ocean remains calm beneath the surface even during storms. That is how your mind must become. Stable, grounded, unshaken. A man once traveled constantly trying to escape emptiness. New cities, new relationships, new excitement. But no matter where he went, the emptiness followed him. Then an old philosopher told him, "You cannot escape a mind you refuse to heal." That truth changed him. He stopped running. He began sitting in silence every morning. Slowly, his peace returned. Not from others, from within. Ask yourself, can I enjoy my own company? When was the last time I sat quietly without distraction? Do I know how to feel peace without external stimulation? Inner peace is rare. And rare things are valuable. 9. Your solitude is preparing you. Right now, you may feel forgotten. You may feel behind. You may feel invisible. But what if this season is not punishment? What if it is preparation? The bamboo tree spends years growing underground before anyone sees results. Then suddenly, it rises rapidly. Your growth may be invisible right now. But invisible growth is still growth. Every lonely night, every painful lesson, Every moment of discipline is building you into someone stronger. One man spent years alone after heartbreak. Instead of destroying himself, he rebuilt himself. Books replaced distractions. Training replaced depression. Purpose replaced emotional case. Years later, he thanked the pain, because solitude transformed him into a person he could finally respect. Ask yourself, what if this lonely season is necessary? Who am I becoming through this pain? What strengths are being built inside me right now? Sometimes isolation is divine training, not abandonment. 10. The strongest relationship is the one with yourself. At the end of everything, you must live with yourself. Your thoughts, your habits, your mind. So if you cannot enjoy your own company, no relationship will save you. Stoicism teaches self-respect first. Because people who love themselves differently move differently. They stop begging. Stop chasing. Stop tolerating disrespect. A mountain does not chase people. People are drawn to its presence. Become like that mountain. Solid. Calm. Grounded. A wise old man once said, "When you finally learn to enjoy your own presence, loneliness disappears." That is freedom. Real freedom. Ask yourself, do I respect myself when nobody is watching? Have I built a life I am proud of? Am I becoming someone worthy of admiration? Because the goal is not merely to find someone who loves you. The goal is to become someone who no longer abandons themselves. Most people will spend their lives terrified of being alone. And because of that fear, they will never truly know themselves. But you are different. Your solitude is not weakness. Your solitude is not failure. It is preparation. Preparation for wisdom. Preparation for discipline. Preparation for greatness. The world fears silence because silence reveals truth. And truth changes people forever. So stop seeing your loneliness as a curse. See it as training. See it as transformation. See it as your weapon. And always remember this. The strongest person in the room is often the one who no longer needs the room to validate them. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to Discipline Within for more powerful Stoic wisdom, mental discipline, and life-changing lessons. And comment below. What has solitude taught you about yourself? Until next time, protect your peace, master your emotions, and build the strength that the world can never take from you.